Hi everyone, and thank you for purchasing the Hero Slider Shopify section by qwiqode. In this video, I'll be showing you how to actually use it. So if you haven't installed it yet, please refer to the separate video included in the package, and you also have access to a PDF with some instructions. So to get started, head over to your theme editor, navigate to the page you want to add the section to, and over on the left, click on Hero Section, Add Section, and then Hero Slider. So over on the left, you have blocks where you can add more slides, each image, and then you can add the content over. So we'll start with that. So clicking on the first slide that appears. Here, you can add in an image. So let's scroll down and find this image to add. Where did it go? There we go. Then we have an option to put in an image for mobile. This, if you'd like to have on the mobile a different image, like a different proportion of an image, like a portrait image or something like that. Let's say we want to have this type of image or a completely different image altogether, then you can add that in. So when you're in mobile, you'll see you have a different image appearing altogether. Next, we have slide title. So this would be this title right over here. You can edit that to whatever you'd like. You have a subtitle. So you have another option right over here, and you can also select the type of heading that you want to use. And this is good for two different two different benefits actually. One is for SEO purposes. So Google or other search engines, they rank different parts of the site, of the page, based on importance. So if you set heading 1, that's the most important piece of content, or like a title, and usually that's reserved for a page title, which is, describes what the page is about and all that, and it's recommended that you use only one. And then for section titles and things and things like that, you would use heading 2, 3, and 4 going down. And then the other benefit is that using these, it would actually migrate or inherit the styling that your theme actually sets. So if I set this to H2, you see that the subtitle actually changed to an H2, or actually if we put this down and we put the main title to H2, it gets bigger because it's inheriting already predefined styling settings. Next, we have text block, which is this text here. It's a little bit hard to see right now because we don't have a background. We'll get to that in a moment. You don't always want to have that, but you have that option. And then you have a button here as well that you can link to, or change the label of it. Next, we can set the positioning of the image itself. Now, later on, we'll discuss what the custom height is, but generally over in the settings, in the section settings, if I choose to set a section height, I would be cropping this image, because let's say right now it's taking the full dimensions of the image, and so whenever you scale it, you'll see the entire image. But if it's too big or too tall and you want to, let's say, set 50% height to the image, then this image will be cropped. And then you can set whether you want the bottom image to appear, bottom part of the image, or the top part of the image to appear. But I'll show you that in a moment. Moving on, we have background color for the slide content. So right now it's set to background color. If we choose white, then we can use this block here, or you can use a gradient if you'd like. And then going into here, you can set the different gradient settings that you want. Let's just keep it right now for white. Next, we have slide overlay. So you would use this actually if you're not doing any, if you don't want to use a background for that. So for instance, if we choose a black or a very dark color and then give it some opacity, as you can see, it darkens the image, but then it'll make this text stand out once we set the color. So if we set the color here to white, subtitle and the text block all to white, and the button down here text color white, border white, like that, then you can see if there's no overlay, it's much harder to see. So you can increase a little bit, darkening the image just a little bit, but then this text kind of stands out. Let's put in a different, like a gray here. Sorry, let's do a black just so we can see the colors and everything. Next, we have the same settings for mobile, where you can set, oh, I skipped also text alignment. So we can do align it within this block. And we can also set where we want this to appear. So right now it's set to center, but we can have it at the top left, at the bottom left, all the 9 different spots we'd like. So let's keep it at the bottom left right now. And so here on mobile, you also have an option to set a different alignment, and you can also have this bottom, top, or center. And obviously it's blocking the image, so that's why we have an option to put in a different image for mobile, where you would, let's say, crop on your own a different portrait sized image where it would have, let's say, more space above her head, and then you can put the text above, just like that. And then next, as you saw here, we have the colors for the button. So we can set those colors here, and then hover as well. So if we just make this red, text color red, or let's do text color white, and then the color here red. So when you hover over, the button changes its color. So those are the settings for the slide. And of course, you can add more slides in here. If you want to save the same settings for the slide, then you can go up to this top right corner and click on duplicate, and then that'll be easy. So actually we can just put in here slide 2, just so we can see the differences right there. But for now, let's just hide that while we look at the different settings. Well, let's just keep it on actually. Okay. Next, so we have section styling here, content max width. We can set the maximum width. So this is basically limiting the positioning or the very left edge of this content block. So if we set it to the right, it'll appear here. And this is good sometimes if you want to align it to different parts of the page or to the menu, so you don't want it to go all the way out. Let's say when you're looking at a full screen, you can have it in this area, not all the way to the edge of the browser. But then you can set that to whatever you'd like. And if you click on real full width, then it ignores this max width, and then it does indeed go to the very edge. And we can also apply the width of this later on. So back to here, custom height, which is what I was talking about. If we select this custom height, so you can see the image has already been cropped and it's set to 50%. We can make it much smaller. We can make it much bigger, much taller, like that. Essentially, if you put this 100%, it's basically like having this turned off. But if we put this now to 50%, and then let's say we want to see the entire top of her head all the time. So we'd go back to the slide, we go over here, and we do top. So then we see the top part, it aligns to the very top. Or if we want to see the very bottom part, we can set it like that. But let's just turn that off for now. We can see the entire image, and it'll scale with whatever file browser size you have. Next, we have section margins and padding. So margin is the space above and below, like outside of the section. So for instance, if we want to do margin bottom, we want more space down here, then it just gives more space to the next section or to the footer if it's the last thing. Section top, it pushes everything down. And horizontal padding, as you can see, there's a little bit of padding there right now, but you can increase that if you don't want it to be touching the edge, or if you want it to be touching the edge, you can have it at 0. Padding top and bottom, same thing, depending on where you have the content placed, but we have it here, so we can add some more padding to the bottom so it doesn't cover anything important but if you want it really to the edge, you can just do that, and it's really just touching the very edge. So however you'd like it to be. Then we have the same margins and padding and section height setting for mobile version as well. Next, we have slider settings. So if we have the two slides or more set, you can have autoplay, and then by seconds it'll change. So you can see here, we have slide 1, and then slide 2, slide 1, slide 2. Every 2 seconds it's changing. So you can see. Turn that off. Oh, and you can also set it to either slide or fade. So also when clicking on the dots, you can have it slide, just like that. Next, we have the dots navigation. So we have these 2 dots right over here. We can choose not to show the dots. Sorry, and you can select this arrows, so you can see arrows instead. But if we do have the dots, we can choose what color background we want for the navigation and the color of the dots themselves, like that. We can make them large or smaller. Let's keep this at medium right now. Positioning, so we can make them the left, to the right, or to the center. We can also add some padding here. So vertical padding, horizontal padding, however you'd like it to be. And then border radius actually means we can make them round. So make that round corners of this background. And also of the dots right over here. So you can make them actual circles. And you can add some margin. This is good if we have this to the right, let's say. So we have this to the right, we can add some more margin, and you see it gets more space from the sides, like that. Obviously in the center, it doesn't matter because it's always going to be centered. And bottom margin, where we can push it up, like that. So if we select arrow, so we have this arrow here, and here, down here, we can choose the distance from the edge. We can change the line color, the background color, like that. Let's make this white again. Or you can upload your own custom arrow for the left and for the right side. Now we have some styling for this block over here. So here, like I mentioned before, we can do maximum width of it. So it's right now at 50%, but let's say we want it much smaller, like that. We can add corner radiuses. Obviously, this is much more visible when we have a background color. If you don't have a background color, it's not as effective or noticeable. Can adjust the padding, top and bottom, and horizontal as well. And we have those same settings for the mobile version, mobile device. Next, title styling. So we can choose a custom font from here, and then you could choose from the list that Shopify provides. Or if you have a manually installed font, you can put the CSS code for that font right in here. A little bit for more advanced users, but that's possible to do if you need to. Next, we can also set the font weight. So right now it's bold. We can make it thinner if we want, depending on the theme and what it's inheriting actually. Top margin, We can adjust the top margin if we want to make it further away from the corner. It's basically like the padding that we did before, but you have another option here. And then you have more margin. You can add more space right there. I didn't mention, if you don't want the subtitles, obviously you can leave the fields blank over here. For instance, you don't want a subtitle, you could just leave that blank and it's gone. Then you can adjust the font size, line height. Line height is especially, it helps when you have a longer text, so it goes down to 2 lines, and then you can see the difference and give some more spacing between each line. And then you have letter spacing. And we have those same settings for the mobile version as well. Next, we have the same exact settings all for the subtitle. So we have custom font and font weight, margins, font size, line height, letter spacing, and settings for mobile, and identical for the text block, which is right over here, for mobile as well. And then we have for the buttons. So here, the button, we can also do custom font, font size, font weight. Here we have a little bit more because we can make the font, the button bigger, thicker border, or no border if it's set to 0. Border radius, give a corner like that. Top margin, give some more spacing like that. Font size, horizontal padding, which sometimes isn't noticeable depending on the width of the text and the length of the text. The width of the button and the length of the text. And then we have vertical padding, which makes it bigger like that. And we have the setting for this button styling for mobile as well. Button letter spacing, font size for mobile, and letter spacing for mobile as well. So that's it. That's the section. It's a very simple one, but it's probably much better than what you get, or much more flexible than what you get in your theme itself. So I hope that this helps you out to achieve your goal. And if you have any problems or any questions, or you encountered a bug or whatever, don't hesitate to reach out to us via the support page. We'll be happy to help. Thanks again. Have a good day.